Kenneth Chance, CEO and Director of Arrowhead Lodge in Prescott, Arizona. We treat men. We're a long-term extended care treatment facility with co-occurring disorders related to drug and alcoholism. I want to talk about treating trauma, men's trauma specifically in treatment. It's one of the things that's often overlooked. I often get asked the question, what's the difference between men's trauma and women's trauma? And the answer is nothing. There is no difference in the trauma that happens to a man to a woman. Trauma is trauma. It's how we respond to it. It's how we react to it. It's the defenses that we build up around trauma. So if we take a boy who is treated in his early childhood in sexual trauma or emotional trauma or physical trauma, what have you, and we take the girl treated in the same trauma, they're going to respond to it very differently. So that what they're going to do is start building up these walls around them, and how they then defend themselves from that emotional trauma is what is different. So a guy might go into a role, and later in life that role may come out to be some kind of a narcissistic role. How did that happen? Well, very early when that trauma happened, most likely what he did is got into some deep shame around that trauma. So in order to avoid the pain of that shame, he became greater than whom he thought he was, because the shame made him feel so bad. So now he builds up this grandiose idea of who he is and the delusions that go around that, and he starts believing those lies that he tells himself and lives in this world of delusion. He brings that up into adolescence, and he brings it up into adulthood, in his relationships and in his employment. So very often these men are these rock stars of business, but yet underneath they're suffering from some very severe trauma that has created now in their lives this dissociation, where the substance abuse is now taken over. They're losing grip at work. Maybe the house is falling apart. All of these things start coming unglued in their lives, and nobody's there to tell them what the real problem is. So if we take away the drugs and the alcohol, and we take away the sex, which we do in our program because we're gender specific, then we get into the behavior. And the behavior is what is the indicator that there is some deep embedded trauma underneath what's going on to generate that behavior. So the delusion, the lies, turning things around. So no longer are they the ones that are behaving wrong, it's the other person. It's their fault. And they can twist things around and make you believe that you're the problem. The reality is it's underlying deep emotional trauma that needs to be dealt with. We do that at Arrowhead Lodge. We take these men and we work with them and help them see that the life that they've created is a life of fantasy and delusion, that the real authentic self is yet to be touched, yet to be tapped into. When they can do that and start realizing that and become more okay with themselves, then we've got an opportunity now to move forward in recovery. If your loved one is suffering from drug and alcohol addiction, give us a call at Arrowhead Lodge. This is what we do. We treat men with these types of problems, and we help them rebuild their lives. Arrowhead Lodge Recovery.com. That's where you're going to find us.